Hello and welcome to the Philippines. This is in Cebu City. It's down in there's SM Mall just to the right. And a big fire. APM Mall is a smaller mall right across the street from SM Mall. And from my condominium, I noticed some smoke. I heard fire engines over 2 hours prior to coming down here. And oftentimes within a couple hours, smoke dies down and the fire is essentially under control. But this smoke just kept on coming. I kept seeing it each time I checked. After a couple hours, I decided, well, I'm going to walk down there. And I actually walked not quite an hour, I guess. Maybe 45 minutes, something like that, and it was still burning. There's still water trucks showing up with new loads of water, I presume. And anyway, I'm going to not just show you this fire. I'll show it to you even a little later at night. This was late afternoon, probably 4:30 or so, and I walked around a bit and looked at other things I could video, and then I came back here in the evening, and they were still fighting that fire. So I'll show you some of the night vision video of that. And then there's been a number of already in 2022. There's been a number of fires in town. Too many fires. There are just too many fires for a number of reasons. Electrical wiring might be a major factor. Using candles for lights. There's still people without electricity after Super Typhoon Odette came through here. People use propane, butane, and charcoal fires to cook with. So there could be any number of reasons. Firecrackers could be another reason. Anyway, I kind of liked that small mall. There were a couple places in there that had some interesting things. There was a pharmacy there that had a lot of the generic over-the-counter type things that I could get, good price. And there was a kind of a tactical shop there that they had different like bright flashlights. And they had reasonable prices. Some of these kiosks at other malls have really high prices on some of the things, and these people had some real reasonable prices on some of that type of thing. Anyway, they're using compressor to fill oxygen tanks, I presume, for the firefighters to take on inside the building if they're fighting inside the building or near it in the smoke, so that they can continue to breathe. This thing lasted about 5 hours total, I think, in the end, and started off as a one alarm, what would be called a one alarm, one stage fire with one group of trucks there. Then they bumped it up to a two alarm, and more surrounding communities send their fire brigades in. And I think it ended up being a three, and I forget what they call it, 3 alarm fire or three, anyway, many more barangays sent their fire equipment. They sent rescue vans in, ambulances, emergency medical service van there. And the worst of it was over, I think, at this point in time, but in the fact it was somewhat controlled, I presume. At this point in time, it was about 3 hours. About 3 hours into this fire. Lots of people out here watching. On an interesting side note, my partner's co-worker, I believe, lives down in this area, and it's a bit funny because in the last couple months I've been down there a couple times in the mall, around the mall, and my partner, when she came home from work, she says, were you down at APM Mall taking a video of the fire? And I said, well, why? How would you know I was down there? You know, we don't communicate very much about what we're doing. And so I asked her, did your coworker tell you I was down there? Yeah, she laughed. She lives down in that area. There's spies everywhere. You have to be careful where you go and what you do, I guess. Filipinos have lots of friends, family, relatives. Even if you go to the next island, think you're going to escape those prying eyes, spying eyes. So you have been warned. And anyway, it was there's far as I was saying earlier, there are just far too many fires. Oftentimes they happen in poor areas, and they gut these some people call them squatter villages. Informal settlers is another name for it. There is one point in time there would be an empty lot, and one person builds something, and more people see that, and they build alongside there. I was talking to a guy over on Mactan Island, and he said, yeah, when he moved there, there was very few buildings. Where now it's very, very crowded, and I really worry for places like that, because when a fire starts, it's a very difficult area to get fire equipment into. In fact, there was one big fire recently out by South Road Properties, and I did a little bit of a video from my high condo, and they said, we're going to rework that area. We're going to put some streets in. We're going to allow the people to rebuild. And that's what they do. There's no building codes to any degree, that I don't think. But we're going to put some roads in the area, some more than just those skinny little alleys that people walk into. A death trap, and it really is amazing that more and more people aren't killed and injured in these fires. And I've heard some people describing how there was a fire, they grab what they can, and they run out of that area, and they place their stuff outside, and they run back in, try to grab some more stuff, hoping that somebody is going to steal what little they have. Anyway, here, yeah, in the evening hours, maybe 5:30, it gets we have all year long, we're closer to the equator, and we have about 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours a night each day. I had a person a couple of years ago comment that I couldn't handle that. I like the way in the northern climates, and would do the same in southern climates. The days and nights change length. I kind of like the way it is here. 12 hours a day, 12 hours a night. Works okay for me. We're coming up to the Lunar New Year, I believe, February 1st. Some people call it the Chinese New Year, but really is the Lunar New Year. And there will be some celebrations. It will be very toned down. There will be a few fireworks going off, even though the government tries to say in many areas they're not allowed. And here's another fire, and you'll see the local people. Once I get zoomed in here, you will see the local people trying to fight this with pails of water, and it appears that they actually had some success. Here again, this is kind of down in the direction, not near SM Mall, but kind of down in that direction. And I'm going to zoom in. I love my Canon SX70 Super Zoom. I like my SX60 Super Zoom better. It keeps the focus better. But this, and forgive me for a little bit of shakiness here. This is handheld. See there, you can see that those pails of water going in there, and they've actually made a little dent in that fire, amazingly. And you can hear the sirens in the background. I'm sure they're all headed to that area probably. And not going to be too much left of that to salvage, I would suspect. But at least it appears that they have kept it from spreading to nearby structures. So that is important. Many buildings in the Philippines are built out of concrete, as many of you know. But there's a lot built with wood, like this structure as well. And once it starts, it would be pretty difficult to stop it. Now, I read about the mall there that somebody tried to put that fire out. Here's another fire just a couple of weeks ago up in the foothills. And there again, I could hear fire engines going in that direction. And that was put out relatively quickly, it seemed. But even in a concrete building, there's things that can burn. If you have drapes, if you have furniture, that starts on fire, and it can emit toxic fumes that can kill you. And a lot of times it is the smoke and toxic fumes that kill people, rather than the fire burning itself. So it's best to have a plan, best to have a fire extinguisher. But they said in this is the smoke I saw at the APM Mall. And so, what I heard was somebody tried to fight it with a fire extinguisher initially, and then the fire extinguisher broke, wouldn't work anymore. So anyway, it's best to have a couple of them. I've fought a fire in a garage. Started with a little welding thing, and I was eventually successful. But anyway, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.